Devin, I can't believe how honest you are today. My
am.
wife's always calling me out, and she's right. Wow.
Why is Jeff Bridges
That's
here?
amazing.
It's really
Devin
true.
is so honest today.
I'm being honest.
This is
I'm being
incredible.
real
The honest
straightforward,
brother
real
on the
honest.
podcast.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really wow. Okay, but that's great news.
That is-
Yeah.
I'm Ty, and I want to be part of this conversation too.
Quentin here. I'm fine, babe.
This is Ethan. Nah, I'm gonna go. Don't worry, Devin's here. This is Ty. Let's rock and roll!
Welcome to the Power Up Brothers podcast, where we all sound the same and our points don't matter. But you know what does matter? You matter.
No.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, guys, we're sitting on, as of recording, 64. Yeah, the phone matters.
The phone matters?
The team at Google that designed this phone matters.
Yes. Yeah.
No, thank you guys for watching. 64 people.
64 subscribers.
So cool.
Not just watched it, they were like, yeah, let's see more.
We'll sub.
Yeah.
Yep.
64 people out there have very low expectations. We thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
But
through
they're all
the-
important and handsome and attractive.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right.
Look
And
through
real
the
people.
Look through the view count. See how many views we got on all of them, and then realize that if you're subscribed, you're the best 64 out of
That's
all of
right.
those people.
Exactly.
Pretty
You're
cool.
part of that. Thank you for subscribing.
Pretty cool.
Also, probably 50% of those are my alt accounts. So there's a decent chance if you're watching this right now, you're actually just my alt account.
Ty,
Just Ty.
you're important.
Cool.
Do you even exist?
Yeah. Guys, 2024 is gone.
Thank
No
God.
one's seen it in a long time. We're all really worried
Threw it in
about
the
it.
trash.
It's the best year of my life.
Yeah. You know, 2020, looking back on it, I was watching a video of how it was 2024 was one of the weirdest and quietest years for gaming. There was these big spikes like Astrobot and stuff that was significant, but for the most part it was very just nothing much going on. And we went, you know what? Let's start a video game podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Video games
Prime
are
time.
All time.
Prime
low.
time.
Let's do it.
Everything's at a low.
Yeah.
No, 2024 will always be the year that we started the pod. Like, no
That's
matter how bad it was.
We might
it's the
say
first.
it was 2025 because we were embarrassed.
I think that we
Don't
got out
watch
ahead.
before 2025.
Yeah.
Here's the
not
thing.
worth
I think
it.
we got out ahead of the curve, and this is my logic for why that's a good thing,
Mhm.
right? We started the podcast in a year where not a lot was going on with video games, but we also started the podcast in a morgue, right?
Yeah, true.
Instead of having a terrible
Can you
studio,
imagine if people watched that?
right? It'd be terrible.
No one would ever subscribe.
Instead of having like a dimly lit studio filmed on a hostage taker's camera, right, with the Saw puppet in the background, like
Right.
we have when the Switch 2 finally does release,
When stuff starts
we have an
happening.
we have an actual studio to talk about it.
That's
in,
true.
It's pretty,
You
yeah.
know,
Although I
That's true.
gotta admit, there is an angle for being filmed by the Joker right before he grabs you.
Yeah, the Broke Brothers podcast.
that'll be our 100th episode. We'll
Dirt
go
Bros.
back
We
to
go back
the
to the
morgue.
I
We'll
accidentally
film.
slap the logo again, and we go back to the
you knock
morgue.
it over.
I knock it over. No. The morgue was fun. Michael
Yeah.
B still lives in the morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's
I
it
like
going
my
over there?
style.
Yeah.
I feel like it's less depressing when you don't have 11 people crammed in there trying
Yeah.
to film things.
Yeah,
Right.
ruining your entire space.
But only a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone.
Really only space for one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a roommate.
Yeah, that's
That's why you're miserable all the
He's
time.
so loud. But
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Shut up, Mario. This guy won't
the-
stop talking.
The one news thing I do have to say is that I found out what game of the year is.
you did?
He finally
Yeah,
got it
at
spoiled.
long
for him.
last.
Where'd you get it spoiled?
So I saw it in a YouTube short that had nothing to do with gaming for the first 30 seconds, and
Yeah.
then randomly just dropped game of the year.
Wow.
It was
So,
very, very
What are the
disappointing.
odds?
That
What
was
are the odds that
very
he finds out
disappointing.
about Balatro that way?
Yeah.
I know. Crazy.
Right,
That was
wild.
Ethan's news. Now this
Wild.
is the news. So 2025, first first news of 2025, guys.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Nothing's happening.
No, it's pretty quiet.
Just like 2024.
It's pretty
very
quiet. There's a slim chance that we make like an emergency edit to like drop in right here that goes, they announced a Nintendo Direct.
I know that I just want to say sorry to all of our fans.
Yeah.
Also, we're very sorry. Our content's not going to be very good. And this is a great time to tell you that we need you to subscribe.
We need you. Like, comment.
If you guys want to support this channel, be like the other 64 cool cats. Subscribe to us. Tell us to all of your friends. If you don't have any friends, tell us to yourself.
Your mother.
Find out who
Your
else
mom.
has subscribed to us, make friends with them, and then tell them to subscribe.
Tell them to resubscribe.
I remember a giant YouTube channel with 4 billion subscribers will never read your comments.
No.
But I will read your comments if you post
Yeah.
them on there,
Yeah.
and then I'll think about them.
Yeah.
Even if they're bad,
Yeah.
No,
it won't make any difference.
It doesn't
I'll
matter.
sit there and I'll think
No.
about them.
we'll think
Yeah.
about them. We'll take them to
Might
heart,
not
and they will really
respond.
hurt us.
Markiplier's not going to do that.
No, absolutely not.
He's got too much money to set on fire for that.
Yeah.
Guys, on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
some more Nintendo Switch 2 stuff started happening. People started posting photos.
Yeah.
A guy whose name
Guy
I
named
believe
Next Handheld.
Yeah, Next Handheld.
Which there's a hot debate about whether this guy is real or not. At first, everybody's like, the images are AI.
Right,
And
which
then they're
they
like-
did confirm the
they're-
backgrounds are AI.
The backgrounds are AI by his own admission.
the
images
sweater and watch on his arm are AI.
are maybe. I think he might be lying about those.
Well, no, he didn't say they were AI.
Oh,
Just
okay.
Analysts broke it down and are like, "This is
The
an
console
AI
itself
imagery.
does not appear to be AI.
It's flipped though.
It is
here's
almost
the
certainly
image
mirrored.
for video viewers.
It is almost certainly mirrored.
Which Spawn Wave, great YouTuber, love to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the, I can't say that legally. He said that like he kind of understands that like if it really is images of the Switch 2 to protect your identity, you don't want people to even get an inkling of where you live or what you look like.
There was a lot of drama with like the Reddit mods too, because they like agreed not to release these images until the guy was ready, and then they did it anyway because they were frustrated about something, and
it's
Reddit drama.
And it's Reddit
yeah,
drama,
it's
yeah.
Reddit. So it got way more drama than needs to be, but the images look pretty credible, and they look kind of neat. The dock has this nice rounded quality to it. It does
Definitely
have
looks
Switch 2 on it, which is the weirdest part of all of this.
From a logo design, me and Ethan, we both know about logo design. It does. I mean, I'm not saying no to it. It's just that like it doesn't look like what Nintendo would do. The Switch logo is so sleek. Just literally the same logo with a big 2 next to it.
Feels weird.
I feel like they would at least integrate, like, especially because that's two
Is-
Nintendo Switch.
Is
not
that
Nintendo
maybe
Switch
less
2.
of what Nintendo would do, and maybe that's more of what Iwata would have done, and we're not in the age of Iwata anymore?
Well, I
Even
mean,
before Iwata, they just like changed their logo design every console.
yeah. And I guess what I mean is that Iwata was obviously really influential, especially from the plans of like business. Like he would set out their goals for their business. But the thing is like the core team at Nintendo has been the same for many years, even back with its the Yamauchi family owning it. That a lot of those people are still there, especially their product designers and everything like that. So the quality they have for their logos and stuff is going to be the same as it always has.
Someone did point out something kind of interesting, is that like a tactic Nintendo has used in recent years to catch like leakers and stuff, right? Is to put out a bunch of not quite fake stories. They're like they're stories the company came up with, like this Star Fox racing game was this like rumored thing, and it turns out it was just like a fake thing to catch leakers and stuff.
Yeah.
And so someone pointed out that like one of the things they could do is they could send out accurate designs to like case manufacturers, but have a different logo than they plan to use for the final product on it.
Yeah.
And that way, if they see the Switch 2 logo and it looks this way, they know that this manufacturer leaked it, because the Switch 2 logo at a different manufacturer looked different, and the final product is called something else.
That's
so if it
clever.
got leaked internally, You know, so like Switch 2 might not be the name,
Sure.
but that's a bit of a stretch. It probably is just called Switch 2.
The cool thing is that there were a lot of people talking about, or we're kind of going back to the 2016 days of like, what's the NX going to be? There were like the same thing, like toy manufacturers that did end up making things for Joy-Cons.
Yeah,
insisted that it was called the NX, that the name would not change.
And like I believe we even had a game announcement that said NX.
It had the
at
NX,
the bottom.
had an NX logo.
Had an NX logo.
So as far as naming goes, Nintendo is gonna the company Sumo Digital got a dev kit for the Switch before the Switch came out. They showed it off. They just took pictures of it and stuff. There was no logos on it. Right. So like they couldn't have even told you. So Nintendo plays things really close to the vest.
It's why I'm inclined not to believe that one, because his images have like the logo like etched into the back of it.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't sound like that tracks historically.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like if you've got an early version of a Nintendo console, in all likelihood you got it from someone who had an early build or a dev kit or something. And historically it doesn't have the logo on it. The GameCube didn't have the logo. The N64 had the wrong logo. It was Ultra 64 went out into the public. Yeah, so we don't know. I thought that because we've had so many Switch 2 rumors, and my real warning I was going to give before I did my awesome subscriber stinger that was really good and well planned, was to just say that the as we make these, we're going to be talking about Switch 2 a lot, because we're going into this is January.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest time. And I know it looks like we filmed these the day of.
Yeah.
But it's a little before that.
It's a little early.
A couple hours.
Yeah.
It's a little earlier.
So we'll be talking about Switch 2 a lot, just because it's kind of, tis the season of Switch 2.
Yeah.
So please don't go away when you hear Switch 2.
Yeah. When they announced that it's actually called the Switcheroo, don't think those guys were
back up.
Those guys were way
Don't
off.
make me cancel my pre-order. Switcheroo.
Switcheroo.
I've also
Already got it
settled
tattooed.
for the Super Nintendo Switch. It just has to have those concave
man.
buttons that look like candy.
Why have they never... Every
they're
time we
cracked.
move forward, we have to go back.
Yeah.
We have to go back to rounded, squishy buttons.
Someone
We can't
said
have
like the
anything
reason
nice.
like software technology is getting so much worse is that, you know, like Google invented the perfect map system 15 years ago, where you push one button on Google Maps and it takes you right to where you're going. And then literally the other day I was using Google Maps and it got locked into explore mode. Whenever I would click on something, the start journey thing would disappear immediately, would be there for a second, disappear. And then if you hit start journey, it's like, where do you want to start from? Well, where I am at is where I want to start from.
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
And so I had to
right.
like click my location and then really quickly hit start to get going there. And I'm like, someone got into the job of having to work on this and went, oh, it's already the perfect map system.
Right.
How do I justify my existence? And they were like, well, I'll add an explore mode with a toggleable feature where it does blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All this
I'll
stuff.
remove useful things.
I'll remove the useful things. And I'll put in something useless. And you
Yeah.
get a worse version of a thing we had 15 years ago.
Because they already made it good. Yeah.
The GameCube controller is perfect.
Yeah.
Stop
We did
iterating
it.
on it.
Just
All the
Stop
buttons are
making
different
more ones.
sizes and shapes, so you can
Yeah.
close your eyes and figure out what button you're pushing, right?
Yeah.
It's the perfect controller.
There's a reason professional Smash Bros. Players still use it. They do.
Yeah.
It's just better. It's just better.
It is, in fact, just
So
better.
yeah, real quick, I want to know, what are you guys thinking about Nintendo Switch, Switch 2 features? What do you think it's because the thing I wanted to talk about was like, we have so much. The one thing leaks have given us is we're pretty sure we know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, like a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. So we'll just, because this news has run a little long, what we'll say is just, what do you think the C button does?
I think it is the crash button. It crashes your console if you bump
Crash.
it.
I
It's a kill
actually
switch.
think that it's going to be a camera button.
Ooh.
And I think it's going to be... I think what they're going to try and do is, we've all been using right stick to control our camera for a long time. I think when you push the C button, it activates the gyro as your camera control. When you let go, it stops.
Oh,
so that
camera
you can,
in game.
Yeah,
not
so
like
you
a
can
built-in
push it
camera.
and like flick it if you need to turn your camera to the side.
Interesting. I think this is not an original idea. I heard this from Xeon over at Nintendo Life. Xeon, we'd love to have you on the podcast. It could be a connect button. Like you connect with other things and the right Joy-Con can pop off.
They just misspelled it.
Like connect?
Because Xbox.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
No. You can take the right Joy-Con with you and it's like a Street Pass feature. You see someone else and you're like, oh, Joy-Con, and you hit the connect button, and then you guys connect. And when you go home and you plug it in, you connect it with some other player.
Cool. I loved Street Pass. It was my number one want, and so the Switch is a little big to carry with you everywhere. But if they gave you a reason to carry something like a Joy-Con because it has some near field connectivity, features.
I was thinking about this the other day. Is that I really liked the little memory cards on the Dreamcast where they had a little screen in them. And I was thinking about also liking the DS where you had the Street Pass. And I was thinking okay, well, they can't really put a screen in a Joy-Con. So they could do the Joy-Con thing you guys talked about. And then I realized you don't really need one. What if you just your phone connected to it?
Yeah.
And the button just connects you to your, it's just Bluetooth syncs to your phone. And then you walk around with that, and then it stores the data on there, so your phone isn't getting any malicious software or anything. It's just going straight through the.
Could just be a dedicated app. For Android, iOS.
Yeah. Cool. Someone also mentioned that they had seen a special feature of the Joy-Cons, and they said think lasers. I don't remember who this person was, and that seems crazy, but it could be one of those little laser displays that projects something onto a wall or something. And you could use that as a simple little readout to.
It would also be cool to play Game Watch games.
Yeah,
like that little
like that.
Mr. Game and Watch on the wall,
maybe.
Yeah. So get ready for a lot of Switch 2 news.
That's right, or maybe none.
January, or maybe none,
Get
ready for us to speculate.
Get ready for us to start talking about Xbox Connect a lot.
Yeah. Now, Ethan, every week we do something that relates to. You could call it a subject or a
topic of the week.
Oh,
I have news.
What? Mario, no. How'd you get in here?
Oh, I walked. I don't have any news.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But we do have more news.
There's more news.
This just in. Mario murdered by mysterious long-haired suspect.
Yeah, strange man.
Long-haired dandy kills a local Italian hero.
Yeah.
My God, how did that happen?
I believe you're speaking from the capital of Italy. 1916, I believe.
Yeah,
correct.
Yes.
No.
So what other news do we have?
Ty, what did you want to talk about?
You literally just did it.
No, the other thing.
I have another one.
I have another one. Did you forget what happened with this whole
I did.
situation?
Well, it's been kind of confusing because my brother apparated in the midst of
that is a good point.
And that throws the guy
that really
off.
throws us all off.
My ability of bilocation really confuses people sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
What you guys don't know is that I'm getting lunch at an Italian place with a friend on the other side of the world.
Projection.
Yeah.
It's weird, man.
Yeah, it's different.
No, we had some cool stuff happen with the Star Fox 64 port.
Star
to
Fox
Windows
port. The
Star,
PC port.
As you know,
legitimate
Star
PC
Fox
port.
64 is game.
It is, and it's not
It
just,
is the game.
It is maybe the greatest game ever made.
Yeah.
And
Some would say.
and so much like the Ship of Harkinian, I think is what it's called, the Ocarina of Time PC port.
Yeah.
We now have a Mario 64 PC port and now a Star Fox 64 PC port.
Sure do. Yeah.
I have not
And
had occasion to play it yet.
I was just about to say I haven't played it either, but I'm going to because I will say
The builds are harder, a little harder to get your hands on than the Mario 64 port is. In the sense that
Not
the
for
Mario
this guy.
64 port
not for
is-
this guy,
is
buddy.
literally just go to a Discord server and they give it to you.
I don't even got to go to the Discord server to get the Star Fox.
No, you,
all right,
you don't.
You know
but
how?
the average Joe.
because if you've already got it, you don't got to go anywhere to get it. Okay.
I will say, for whatever reason, Star Fox looks a little less like...
It's a little early.
Yeah.
Well,
a
I mean,
little
it
less
just
like...
Yeah.
it just came out.
Well, I
very
mean,
recent.
I guess because Star Fox 64 has been really good with like widescreen mods and higher texture resolution.
Well,
it looks
sure.
a lot like emulation. It's not emulation. It's
not
a port.
emulation, it is a
but
port.
it looks pretty close.
Well, and I will say, is it the same team that did?
I don't know.
I don't even
Render
know.
96
Because I was about to say the ones that did Ocarina of Time did the most phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time was insane. Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask now I think can be played technically natively, but
I don't know if they finished.
But that one is not
it's
finished.
not.
No, and I know that one's not. But I did just see a video about playing it directly on hardware or PC hardware.
Yeah.
Which is
hardware.
pretty impressive.
Yep.
But yeah, Star Fox
Pretty
fully
cool.
playable.
I know.
On Windows.
Yeah.
Pretty
A
cool.
full port to PC.
Which is what we should be doing. Anyone who's got programming skills, please put good game, which is old game, on two PCs so that I have something to play and can talk about on this video game podcast.
Please give Quentin sub.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give me something to play.
We'll put
He's
one of our
desperate for them.
64 subscribers
Yeah.
onto the job.
Yeah.
64.
Speaking, guys,
Number 4.
this is crazy.
This is crazy.
I'm being serious right
I'm
now.
losing my mind as we speak.
Already lost.
It's
It's
gone.
already gone. Like that. No, I'm going to talk about emulation.
Oh my god.
You're doing it wrong. That's it.
What?
No. No, you're doing it wrong. Quentin's over here like,
I got a big PC. It's so nice, and I can emulate PS1 so good.
How do you do such good impressions?
I don't
of it?
know.
I don't know. He's-
lots of
I-
practice.
holy moly.
Years
Way.
of practice.
Our audio listeners are literally not going to be able to tell
They're not going to be able
which
to tell
one's
the
which.
difference.
I know we already all sound the same, but that was too far.
That was-
I want to
Yeah.
apologize.
Okay.
And I want to apologize to this queen.
Why would you apologize, Quentin?
I'm
Yeah.
really sorry. I just needed to apologize for the apology.
No, he's doing it wrong. You want to play PS1 games? Get a GameCube.
Oh yeah, of course.
I will not explain further. No, GameCube now has the ability to emulate PS1
Even
games.
better if you can have Dolphin emulating a GameCube and then
Emulating.
run the PS1
You know, but, this is,
emulator
probably
on
but here's
there.
the
could.
problem with
Seizure.
the problem with your premise is that you didn't go far enough.
Oh no.
Which is to say that the GameCube, most powerful of its generation, could have ran it all at the same time that it was concurrently releasing with those.
Right.
Okay, could have done it. It could have done it. It had the hardware. All right.
It could have done it.
So you say
we're pausing a lot.
You just said that the GameCube can now run it. It could always run it, babe.
Okay, it could always run it. It now has an emulator made for it.
There you go.
Interesting.
And
Who is spending that much time
that's a good question.
on an emulator? for
Especially because,
GameCube?
fun fact,
Yeah.
first of all, it runs pretty okay.
Yeah.
And second of all,
scathing compliment.
it
Yeah.
doesn't. It has to use button combos because the GameCube controller doesn't have enough buttons for the PlayStation 1.
Remember last week when we
Missing
talked
two.
about how like Devin is the worst salesman?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not a salesman, guys.
No, he makes Nintendo.
Do it if you want.
He makes
It doesn't
Nintendo
really matter.
look bad for
Real
all
bad.
ages.
Yeah,
okay?
it does. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh,
but
that was
is-
a really good point, Devin.
Oh, thank you, Quentin.
You're welcome.
That
You're
was really
welcome.
nice of you.
You're welcome.
No, yeah.
I am the worst salesman in the world. I ain't never been able to sell anything. I couldn't sell water to a horse in the desert. Devin, I can't believe how honest you are today.
I
My
am.
wife's always calling me out, and she's right. Wow.
Why is Jeff Bridges
That's
here?
amazing.
It's really
Devin
true.
is so honest
I'm
today.
Yeah.
being honest.
This is
I'm being
incredible.
real
the honest
straightforward,
brother
real
on the
honest.
podcast.
Good.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really well. Okay, but that's great news.
That is-
I'm Ty, and I want to be part of this conversation too.
Ty's impression of Ty.
What I love
Pretty
about
good.
what I love about Devin's news this week here with this is that he says that it sort of works. There's no reason to ever do it,
Yeah.
but if you did do it, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be fun.
And it'll
do
break your
it.
GameCube that
Don't
you've been
do
saving
it.
for the last 20 years.
But it could be fun.
He says, break your GameCube. You can't play the games because the controller doesn't work, and the games don't run very well. And also,
Right.
you own a PS2.
Yeah,
That's right.
You miserable fool.
Yeah,
I
just go
just want
get
to
a
see how far
PS2.
down the emulation rabbit
Yeah.
hole we can get. Can we
Yeah.
get like a PS3 emulator that emulates GameCube and then run the PS1 emulator off of the GameCube
Would be
emulator
pretty
and then
great.
get an
Listen,
emulator for
that
Game
is a-
Boy on
that-
PS1?
That is a good question. What is the turducken of emulation?
Yeah. How far can this emulation
if we can get it
go?
to
And the emulators
Dreamcast,
can
Well,
shove
Dreamcast
up
already
into
had a
another
bunch of
one.
emulators.
That's
But
true.
that's exactly what you said at the start with
Yeah.
the Wii, right?
Yeah,
so if we
yeah.
do the like a Wii, can run a GameCube
Yeah.
emulation,
Yeah.
and then that can run a emulation of a.
I once saw
PlayStation.
the
Yeah.
fantastic, phenomenal YouTuber Nintendo and he had taken one of those Super Boys. I bought you one as a gift once.
Still have that.
And he plugged a Game Boy player into it, and then the Game Boy camera into the Game Boy player, and took a selfie with it. And I was like,
"That's pretty cool.
Technology has peaked."
That's kind of the Sega Genesis.
He's Sonic and Knuckles.
Continuing to just plug in.
Yeah.
Point. So, do you know what this is? Does anybody
Rectangle?
know? Yeah,
it's the Switch 2.
Do you know what it is?
That's the
Switch.
This is the Switch 2. I have it.
I believe that's the ruiner of my generation's entire sociability.
I agree,
sociability
because this right here,
I mean, all
evil
of it.
rectangle.
It's an evil rectangle, as I always call it.
This is an Xbox.
Oh, cool.
It is an Xbox. Yeah.
You're watching this on an Xbox.
I saw Microsoft's. Yeah.
We're recording this on an Xbox.
Yeah.
We're speaking into an Xbox.
You might be an Xbox.
We are Xbox.
We are.
I once threw an Xbox at someone's head who was pursuing me.
You threw an Xbox at an Xbox?
And they're an Xbox. So it was Xbox on Xbox violence.
Incredible.
Microsoft
horrible.
at the Game Awards, we forgot to talk about it, and I'm talking about it now.
We're talking about the Game Awards.
They epically...
I literally cannot believe we're doing
this. I can put
right
it
now.
in the tags now. I'm kidding. They epically got on stage, and Phil Spencer came out and said, "We give up.
We give up.
You won't buy an Xbox, and guess what? You already have one. You already bought one.
We're making everything an Xbox, so we
Everything's
can
an
count
Xbox.
as sales.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
We've sold
bought
the
a
most
microwave.
Xboxes.
No,
It's an Xbox.
What he said was, "You can't escape."
You can't. Yeah, exactly.
Listen,
you can't get away.
You are proverbially, at present, you're proverbially chained in my basement.
Yes.
And before long, you'll literally be.
Can I say the funniest thing is that when you say Xbox got on stage, I picture like a Daft Punk guy with like the head of an Xbox getting on stage and just going, "You cannot escape."
No, yeah.
Terrifying.
Horrifying.
Pure
Pure
horror.
some kind of like
Pure
Transformers monster. He gets up there like Soundwave, and it's like, "You cannot escape. You cannot escape."
No,
That's
it's just
scary.
funny to see
Ooh.
see Xbox pouting and going like, you know what, everything's an Xbox. You don't even need to buy. I mean, I do think they've thrown in the towel. Like,
Well, we've never taken a hard stance on Xbox.
No,
on
no
this
one on this
podcast.
podcast would
Definitely
ever
not
do
while on vacation.
yeah,
No.
we all love.
No,
podcasts.
we love. We
Yeah.
love.
We all love podcasts.
Yes,
We love.
We all love podcasts.
We love video games.
Our
We love-
guys, our podcast is the last thing that is not an Xbox.
Our
We're the last
podcast
holdout.
is podcast.
Is
Our-
podcast.
And because of our combined age, it's also old podcast.
Yeah,
Our,
it's
our
yeah,
official
it's a
stance
very old
is,
podcast.
No Xbox.
No Xbox.
No Xbox.
Please no.
Subscribe
Please
if
no.
you want something in this world that's not been taken over by Xbox.
When they said that your phone's an Xbox, I threw my phone away. I don't have
Yeah,
it
we don't
anymore.
have it anymore.
I threw out my grandma's pacemaker for fear that it might be
They said
an Xbox.
They said my
An
car was an
Xbox.
Xbox, and I drove it off a bridge.
It's
Barely
gone.
survived.
It's
It's
gone.
so funny. I was wondering why, because I didn't watch the Game Awards, but I was wondering that why in the middle of the Game Awards a red ring appeared on my phone. It doesn't work anymore.
I was shocked.
It's crazy.
Oh man, my
I
phone turned into an Xbox.
I couldn't believe it.
That's an old
Yeah.
one.
Believe it.
Youngins watching won't
Youngins
get that.
aren't gonna know about the red ring problem.
Google
but-
it.
Google it.
No, you can't. You got to throw that out. That's an Xbox.
that's an Xbox.
Box,
Sorry.
box
Google
it, bork
You gotta
it. What is
understand.
it? How do you search things on a Google?
I don't know.
Let me explain something.
Open your
Bing it.
Nintendo 2DS XL and Google.
I'm sorry.
Red Ring
No,
of Death.
the fact of the matter is anything that even can be modded to stream Xbox is an Xbox. Okay.
Oh, true.
And so the problem is the
My
only way you can-
Tamagotchi is the only
the
thing on
only
it.
way you can
Tamagotchi
watch this
safe.
podcast is live.
Yeah,
Okay.
only these two.
Yep.
That's
Let's
true.
say we went from
It's true.
64
Those
listeners.
two over there.
Can I just
I
say,
wasn't paying
like,
attention.
We to two. Michael B's not paying attention, and Rachel is hitting the downvote
Yep.
button.
Yeah.
1.5.
She's
Yeah.
giving this a
Microsoft kills me with their word wizardry, where they're just
Yeah.
like, I cast a spell, right? I renamed it all, and now I might get more
Right.
money. And it's like, no, we all see what you're doing. Like, oh, you're gonna make video games on the phone, like Farmville from 20
Right.
years ago,
Yeah.
Right.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and our greatest hope at this point with Xbox is that just like the video game space becomes like the one thing that I will praise this space for is the fact that like sub markets can form inside of it, whereas a lot of other art forms are really restricted. Movies, they really can't sell you like a little movie to go to the theater for.
Right.
Like, come watch
Not
a
these
30
days.
minute movie at the movie theater. They can't do that. TV has a little more flexibility, but what's cool is that like Nintendo's still operating like a company from the 90s. They're selling us little cartridges. They still do like big blowouts in stores and stuff. So like my hope is that Microsoft can just sort of go do their little streaming thing and everybody can kind of forget about them. And maybe Sony and Nintendo can get something. I don't know.
Well,
some other thing.
I feel like
some other company.
Some other company joins the.
I think they should go the Sega route, where they stop making consoles and they just make games now.
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely not gonna retire their game studios like Bungie and. They just bought Activision.
I'll tell you the main problem is that Hideo Kojima Metal Gear Solid, Hideo Kojima Duran is making a game using Xbox's new cloud service.
1 second.
He really.
Are you sure about that?
He really wants to judge me.
Point is,
this is in a clip 5 months from now.
Yeah, definitely clipping this.
But yeah, no, that worries me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when he announced that he was partnering with Xbox for their cloud service system, and I was like, I don't know what you're gonna do with that. I don't think that the game is going to be exclusively streamed or anything like that. No. But what does it mean? Because the thing is that everything using Xbox infrastructure is. I can't even use the terminology that is most appropriate to describe it on this Christian Minecraft server.
No racial
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know.
Did he, when he announced that, because I don't recall the details of it, did he specifically say that it was in fact a video game and not some kind of toaster or interpretive art?
Do you remember when he actually had to say on stage to let everyone know that it was a video game and not a plot to kill you? Yeah. Right? He had to be like, this is not another plot against you.
He just wants to get our guard down.
Yeah.
It might have been. But he did say
security.
Do you remember he did actually say on the Game Awards, his translator was like,
this game is
actually a game.
Yeah. This is actually a video game. Yeah, he had to specify
because Death
Stranding wasn't.
He showed because Death Stranding wasn't, but he showed 3 actors talking on stage, like on a screen, right, and then screaming. And then he had Kanye West come out. It was Kanye West. He came out. He said
moment when it was just a silhouette of a bald person. And I was like, there's so many bad choices.
This could go so many bad ways. He came out and
he said, I like Hideo Kojima also. Mm-hmm. I think he has good ideas. And he said some things. But the point is that there's no indication that's a video game.
No, and to the point where he has to specify that it is.
And the venue he was at, venue he was at has very little to do with video games.
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah, no,
that's correct. Now, I think this space, like all of nature, abhors a vacuum. So somebody's going to move into. Somebody's going to see that, like, even if Xbox was only selling, 20 or 30 million consoles, that's 20 or 30 million sales you can get if they stop. So who do you think it's going to be?
I don't know, because the problem
Apple, maybe.
I think the problem is that, like, I'm very sorry. Like,
can I cut in for a second?
Go.
Because not to derail you here, but I really hope that it's someone smaller than Nintendo. Like, Nintendo is always like aimed for the lowest end of the power scaling of their consoles. And given the market trends, how expensive everything is getting, I'm kind of hoping that if Microsoft bows out, instead of Apple coming in and creating, let's face it, just another PlayStation console that's expensive and runs super great games, someone steps in to be like, hey, what if we made a console that just runs things well, doesn't look great, but is just makes them playable.
Let's make a console that plays bad games only.
You know what? Actually, there is a console that plays bad games.
Weren't we just
only.
Talking about the Xbox?
It's a little thing called the Nintendo Switch.
I knew he was going there.
It's the console that plays bad things is apparently the Xbox that is my phone.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. Everything. I will say the appeal of this streaming service in concept is that anything can be just as good as an Xbox within the limitations of its screen. The problem is not with the concept. The problem is
it already exists.
Is that no. Well, it almost exists. The problem is that it does not actually run as well as if you were sitting down in front of it.
Streaming is not perfect.
Streaming is still not perfect.
Obviously.
It's obviously inconsistent.
But there are other people who are better at it than Xbox.
Well, sure.
I can pull out my phone right now and load up GeForce Now, or
that's what I was about to say.
My PlayStation, or just stream Steam from my home computer.
Yes.
To wrap that up, like how long do you think it will take them to pretend like they never said that on stage?
Now, after this podcast.
By the time this posts, they'll.
I was going to say once Phil, get your act together, buddy.
Xbox head guy, come on the pod.
Monstrous Xbox machine human hybrid. Come on, let's have you on
Quentin,
the pod.
since you transfigured yourself into the room, and you interrupted a very important segment. What segment did you interrupt?
I interrupted the news.
No. You interrupt. We were on
you're right.
our way.
We were on. Oh, right.
Where were we going?
Topic of the week.
Oh. Guys, we got some spicy topics today. And I should know. I only know my own.
I was gonna say, I've got a topic of the week.
I want to let Ethan go first. I edit these podcasts. You literally never go first.
Do you have a topic of the week?
I do.
Okay.
I was actually thinking it would be best if I went last.
You always
given
think
the
that.
nature of it. But let's switch it up then, guys. 2024 is behind us.
Gone.
And
happened.
Right in our headlights.
Yeah.
Is 2025, and it's giving us a weird look. Yeah. We're not sure if we should swerve, if we'll jump in front of us, or we'll over. What are your guys' hopes and expectations for the next year in gaming?
Can I start?
I hope I make it.
Oh, Lord.
This isn't a personal question.
Yeah, not your life.
I hope I just get to play something.
He hopes he gets to play a video game.
Yeah, I hope I'm alive to play the games.
What kind of things from gaming would you like?
There is no hope. There is no hope.
Sorry I brought it up.
I'm sorry you brought it up too. There is
Glad you're back.
There's no hope for video games.
No?
Because I want you all to think about it. What did we end this year off with as far as video games goes? A big award show for video games.
Yeah,
where
that happens every year.
Yeah, right. And every year it reminds us there's no hope. There's no hope. What we got from the Game Awards was Phil Spencer saying you can't escape.
Right.
Okay. Them desperately showing us new versions of old game to try and convince us that new game is game. All right. And then being tortured by some demonic celebrities who appeared on stage momentarily just to frighten me to the point of vomiting.
And compliment Troy Baker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But are you telling me that anything that I just said as a lived experience would leave you feeling hopeful?
Well, what I'm actually saying is like it can be something outside of like
reality,
the mega corporate. You could be like, is there something coming up in emulation you want to see? Is there some?
No,
I think.
I'm sorry. Wait a second. He just asked specifically emulation.
Well, I
because just talked about Star Fox.
Because,
getting done. That's really cool.
That is good.
Yeah. Is there stuff like that you're looking forward to? In the
stuff has been taken down.
I'm looking forward to. 2025 is going to be the year of Nintendo, which is great for me, terrible for Quentin, but great for this podcast.
Devin, you say that.
We are dangerously close to being an
every
Nintendo
year. It's going to be.
Yeah, we started out saying we're very Nintendo boys, but we're not a Nintendo only podcast.
And then the Mario shorts get
right through that.
I don't think we
15 times the views on every Mario short.
Every Mario.
So
Kart
Devin,
short.
Explain why do you think that?
No, I think
next year is going to be.
Nintendo was really quiet for 24.
Yeah,
and it reminded me of 2016, which it was really hard to be a Nintendo fan in 2016 because it was just like they're like, we got Breath of the Wild coming, and it's like, oh cool, what else? And they just stared at you like,
all of
they start sweating. They start sweating.
They start sweating. No, and so that's 2024 wasn't that quiet.
No,
they had a good pipeline established, but there was so much about it that's quiet. We already know stuff like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is coming out. But yeah, I think it's going to be, I think they've got a lot of stuff loaded in the chamber, and we're going to be really shocked. I think they really want to recreate that 2017, what was it? Was it like February when they did the big Nintendo Switch presentation thing?
It was near the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Time, so
it was.
Winter-ish.
End of February.
January, February. So, like, I think they want to get that back, like get that sort of feeling back. And like I'm waiting for that moment when like we first see the Switch 2 and they were like, I hope they tease us like they did with Mario Odyssey, where like Mario fans immediately noticed that it was footage of a game we've never seen before, and we're like, why is he running with his arms out to the side? What's happening? He can triple jump again. That was for me the big moment, was that like he hadn't triple jumped in 2 mainline Mario games, and now he can again. So I'm waiting for that moment, and I think that that's going to happen pretty soon. In fact, it could have happened right now, and we're cutting to footage of all of us reacting to it. Whoa,
whoa, it didn't happen. Whoa, this is amazing. We're wrong. There's no hope. There's no hope. There's none. Ty, do you have any hope?
What do you hope?
I hope Metroid. I hope Metroid Prime 4 doesn't get delayed again. That's my hope.
That'd be heartbreaking.
I mean, like, there's so much to hope about, but it's all in vain. I hope Silk Song comes out eventually, but that's not happening.
Brother.
Metroid Prime 4 not getting delayed again. I hope the Switch 2, or whatever it ends up being called, is good. And looks good. Yeah. Like those are the big ones.
Ty, look me in the eyes real quick. I'm just gonna say this to you right now. Look me in the eyes. Silk Song is never coming out. Metroid Prime is getting delayed, and you will die next year. You will in fact die.
If I die, you're
none of
they're
it.
coming for you.
You heard it here first, folks.
If it's a mysterious, mysterious homicide,
that's the real news. I looked in my crystal ball this morning and I saw those 3 things and I said they're related somehow.
2025.
No, that's what I want though. Is I just want a year where stuff happens, because it does feel like it last year. Not a lot of stuff happened. The year kicked off with a bang. You know, we had Final Fantasy in the early part of the year. But then it felt like it was very quiet. You know, a release here and there. You know, we had a Mario and Luigi game. We had Astrobot, but it was very. It felt very, very slow until like I feel like maybe it's starting to pick up again with Indiana Jones and Marvel Rivals and stuff.
Marvel Rivals was big,
dominating the news. But that's the first time I've had games where I was like, oh, I'm going to play a game in months, many months.
Ethan, what are you hoping for?
Yeah, what are you looking forward to?
You know, actually, my inner Everspring optimist is a little more in charge of my hopes and dreams this time, because my pragmatic realist thinks that these are really possible. Is that I think 2025 is the year of the course correct. I think it is the year of the course correct.
Right.
And so my hopes and my expectations are both lined up in that direction. Right. I think it's the year that Nintendo like steps out and they're like, okay, we have this more powerful console. We're going to start making smaller games again to complement our bigger games. The Switch was clearly missing that. We made a Zelda game. There was a remake of an old Game Boy game. We made it $70 and giant and expensive when we could have just made a pixel game.
$60.
Not
and
where
giant
I bought it.
and expensive.
Oh wait, was Tears of the
Kingdom
Kingdom was only $60?
No,
he's talking about Link's Awakening.
Oh, Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
I see. Right.
But yeah, I think it's the year of the course correct, where they're going to be like, well, we're also going to make smaller little games to complement them, where we take some of these IPs that we can't really put enough money into, but we need to do something with,
like Star Fox. Please,
maybe
give us. I don't even care if it's a small, little, tiny baby Star Fox game. You know, you remember Muppet Babies? Give me Star Fox,
guys.
Babies.
Someone asked me how I made the bumpers. Like, how did I get those graphics of planets and stuff? No one knows that Star Fox exists anymore.
It's just been retconned from our collective memory
I know.
as a society.
Terrible.
No one understands the motif of the
No.
podcast.
Also, like, how'd you come up with that motif? What do you mean? How?
Why did you have to tell me that? That breaks my heart.
So, but here's
Sorry
the
for
thing.
bringing up
I feel like
Star
it's going to
Fox.
be. I feel like it's going to be industry wide. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of course correcting in 2025 as the like changing of the market kind of comes in. Even though, you know, other consoles have decided to like have longer generation lifespans, you know, and so Nintendo coming in with their new console isn't necessarily that full change, but I think that's what it's going to signal. Like the first change that I already like, that I think is a course correction, is that Microsoft got on stage they hardened into a husk. They fell over and shattered like glass.
Yeah.
Good change to the
Probably
industry.
for the
Good
best,
course correction for them, right? So we're off to a good start.
Okay.
With the rest of them, I do really feel like that we're going to see a lot of that. I feel like one of my hopes going into all last year, but again, last year was so slow. But one of my hopes was to see a Fire Emblem game.
Yeah.
Because
which there was a Fire Emblem game.
There was a Fire Emblem game.
Did Engage come out last year?
No. This year.
Yeah.
Don't 2024.
It came out in 2023.
Yeah.
Did it?
I thought
Oh,
so.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought so.
I could have sworn.
But the thing about it is that while it didn't sell terribly, it didn't do great, but it didn't sell terribly. It had a very poor fan response.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so what I was hoping to see is like, what do they do with that? Do they double down on their bad idea that they were passionate about, or do they course correct into something better? And there was all these rumors.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
historically, it doesn't.
Well,
I would
sort of, because historically, like the fan reaction to Fire Emblem Awakening was, "Oh, we love this, but it's not original enough." And then the next ones are very original,
True.
but
No,
not
sure.
quite classic enough. And when you get to Echoes, which is phenomenal on all ends, and then Three Houses, which is trying to meet that in the middle, it's not so silly the way like some of the stuff in Fates was,
Sure.
but it's still serious enough. It kind of meets in the middle. The Engage was like, they went off in a weird, bad direction.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they course correct. And I think that's going to be a lot of games. You know, I think that's going to be a lot of things in the industry. It's like, it's the year of the course correct.
So what I hear you saying is your hopes for next year, no more woke stuff.
That's exactly
okay,
what
got it.
Get rid of the woke.
No more
Well,
woke
to
stuff.
follow up on the woke
list.
stuff.
I'm going to get that list of games we talked about.
What's your topic?
Well, I
man?
actually, before we move
Yeah,
on,
okay,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
I would like to amend my answer and say one thing that I really hope for is that better unions improve job retainability in the gaming sphere. That way, fewer layoffs happen. Just because that was obviously horrible and still a
we want to keep it somewhat realistic.
That is true. I know that's not realistic, but I really hope that happens.
Year of the course correct.
I said
you're right.
Yeah.
Going along, that's what I'm saying. Going along with what you're saying, course correct in gaming itself, as far as the content that's produced,
And the
but
industry.
also the industry and the better
I
improving business practices through stronger
To
unions.
do better, big wigs.
You
heard it here first.
Just tag on to the end of that is that that's kind of part of what this year taught us is that like it's not they can't sell games where they like burn out everyone and then fire everyone
No.
at the end. The game doesn't come out good.
Right.
And so it's like
Concord.
you've got to follow
Everybody-
like Concord was exactly that.
There's no job
Massive
security.
disaster.
Well, everybody knows they're going to get beheaded at the end of this project.
Right.
They're not going to put their full effort
I try.
into it.
Right.
So hopefully they do. Yeah, I agree.
All right.
What's your
gentlemen,
topic, Quentin? Tell us.
Let me explain something. I was a little late to this podcast, and I've got to explain why. You're probably wondering.
Right.
I was listening to Duran Duran when I fell into a trance. Suddenly, my enemies surrounded me. I was on my knees, hoping St. Michael would drive away that evil. But then the song changed. It was Maria.
Been there, brother.
You know, Maria. But you see, the thing is that Maria is a song for straights like me, straight shooters. So my enemies fled in different directions. I
Yeah.
pursued them and defeated them all, one by one.
Right.
I then realized that I had to get to the podcast within the hour.
Yeah.
So I played Indiana Jones in the Great Circle for 45 minutes, then meticulously washed my hair, blow-dried it, and then came over here and got stuck in traffic.
Right.
I then sat in the car and waited for you all to finish the news,
Yeah.
and then came in and assaulted Mario.
Yep. Thanks for that. Yeah. I mean, I
what's your topic?
Yeah.
So, my
no,
topic-
I understand why you struggled to get here on time because the podcast is recorded at a random time.
It's always a random time.
It's always a random
He
day.
surprises us. Bam.
If it was on the same day at the exact same time, you'd have
That
to
would
be
be
a
one thing.
complete
That would be one thing.
to miss the time.
I would, but here's the thing. As I said, when Maria came on, that's when I came out of the trance.
Oh,
okay?
right. Maria
It was a
comes on.
whole,
with only an hour left.
Maria.
With only an
Anyways,
hour.
and there was only an hour left. But I had to
Right.
fulfill my obligation of playing Indiana Jones, Indiana of Jones, and the Great Circle.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who at this round table has played Indiana
I
Jones.
haven't played
I
it
think
at
you're
all.
the only one.
Am I the
Yeah.
I haven't
You're
even
the
seen
only
footage
one.
of it.
Gentlemen, Wait a minute.
I'm
You don't watch
excited
our
to see what you
shorts.
think of it.
This is a momentous.
I saw that.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. This is a momentous moment. I'm playing new game,
Yeah, I
and you
know.
guys aren't.
It's happened one other time. I forget the game, but it happened
I'm
one
sure
more.
you'll
one
be
other
able to
time. Oh, it
find
was.
it before.
I think it was Jedi Survivor.
Oh, it might have been. I hated that, but I don't hate.
Something about Lucasfilm games. He plays them before we do.
I don't hate Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
It looks
That's
good.
high praise.
I
Can
wanna
you
play
believe
it.
They
this?
should put that on the cover.
They
Quentin
should.
doesn't
Quinn
hate
didn't
it.
hate it.
Yeah, I know.
Quinn didn't hate it.
It's 0
Quinn doesn't hate
stars,
games
but he didn't
anymore.
hate it.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, this is what's amazing about Indiana Jones. And now I figured that at least one of you would be able would have played it so we could talk about it. But
Right.
I wish I had now.
So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my thoughts on
Sure.
Please do.
on it.
Go for it.
The game is pretty terrific.
Okay.
It's you can set how much of the gameplay is sort of automated, right? So if you really don't want to do a lot of fighting, a lot of, getting into fist fights and shooting, if you don't want to do a lot of that, you can sort of automate some of that.
Yeah.
But you have a separate slider for puzzle difficulty.
That's cool.
So effectively, if you
For
want
the
this
Tylers of the world.
if you want to just have this be an exploration game where you get to go around these beautifully modeled environments, right? Like you go to the Vatican, you go to Egypt and several other locations, and you're also visiting them in a specific time period. So it's not just like visiting a 3D model online. You can look at 3D models of the Sistine Chapel, but it's specifically during the occupation of Vatican City of, Mussolini and his thugs, right?
Yeah.
Or the excavation of the Sphinx. And you get to explore these environments and solve puzzles in them, and they're really clever with how they do the puzzles. The character models are a little weird at times, and then other times they look so beautiful that you're just like, they're some of the nicest looking models.
Yeah.
I heard Troy Baker is the best Indiana Jones.
Now this is the one thing, because I saw you all talking about on the podcast I was not on about Troy Baker's voice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that he is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are certain moments where he is so caricaturish of Harrison Ford that he there's like an actress who is not someone's from the movies, and so it's not like her voice is recognizing in that way.
Yeah.
And you'll hear her, and then it'll switch to him, and it sounds like me doing an impression. Okay, where he's like,
do an impression.
He's like, I'm India Jonesy, and I got a whip, and you're like,
That's just John Wayne.
It's like you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear it, and you're like, that wasn't as good as the last time you started talking.
Should have done that take again.
There's certain moments like that where I always go like, oh, I see I can know the exact scene from Indiana Jones that he's trying to imitate the way that Harrison Ford talks in.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. But the game is very fun.
You like the first person? That was sort of what I was curious about.
Well, that's actually something I was just about to bring up, because the first person is the best decision they possibly made.
Oh,
really?
And not just from an immersion standpoint, but from the standpoint that it really reminds me of old Lucasfilm point-and-click adventures.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And the reason is obviously
I was going to ask if it had that, like, if it felt like a video game, or no offense to any of the fans of the series. Aldrich, I don't know if you watch, but I'm not being mean to you. Does it feel like a real video game, or does it feel like Uncharted?
Oh,
I was actually about to ask the same.
Does not feel like Uncharted. It's something I thought was going to happen.
That's actually really useful, because
Depends on how much you
I
automate
saw it and thought, well, is this kind of just Uncharted?
Well, no, and here's the other thing. I'd say even if you automate the combat, I don't think that it's like Uncharted, right? Or vice versa. I would say how you do the puzzles is pretty different than in Uncharted, and I would also say that just the combat, the way that it plays, is different.
Yeah.
But the reason that I say that it reminds me of those point-and-click adventures is not because you're literally from that perspective where you have a scene, and then you move around a character,
It's more of the feel is what you're talking about.
The feel of you look at with what's within your view, and there are things in that space, and you can now click on those things, explore every nook and cranny, because you don't know. The corner of that room might have a little tile that you can walk up, and when you get close to it, you realize, oh, I can turn this, and a little key will come out, and I can figure out, what do I need to do with this key?
That's so cool.
Wow.
And it's so but the thing is,
I need to play this game.
Yeah.
It's as if it's as if every wall is one of those scenes from a point-and-click adventure. And I've been loving it. I couldn't possibly care less about going around and shooting and fighting in this game.
Sure.
But I've been 100%ing every area that you go to. Because it's just the exploration, the puzzles, and the story is also very good.
If it makes sense, I want one of those moments where it's like, where it's literally just like, I need to find this book in the library, and then like just quiet, and then like sounds of a library, and you're like, oh, I have control. I literally have to walk around and actually find it. It's not just going to be like, oh, and then Indy found it, and the story kept going.
The whole puzzle is just the Dewey Decimal System trying to navigate that.
Difficulty level impossible.
What do you mean you don't know the Dewey?
Can I ask a question without you calling me an IGN article writer?
Okay, go ahead.
Does it make you feel like Indiana Jones? The Batman Arkham question.
So I'll tell you what exactly. Yeah. Okay, so when I was in Vatican City, yes, it made me feel like Indiana Jones, because as someone who has read countless books on religious studies, the puzzles were so easy at times because they relied on knowledge of Christian iconography, right? There were certain moments. There's one moment where there is a relief that's got this beautiful carving in it, and I was looking at it, and I went, "Oh yeah, that's upside down." I know. From afar, I could tell that I needed to figure out a way to turn it the correct orientation.
That's cool.
Just because I was already familiar with it. So that made me feel like Indiana Jones because I was already familiar with the stuff going on. And
you belong in a museum.
I belong in a museum. But then I got to Egypt, and it was a little bit less. Because I don't know it quite as I don't know Egyptology quite as much, and so there were lots of things in there so far that are a little more challenging.
Cool,
but you can dynamically change the difficulty, so just make it easier, and then you'll feel like Indiana Jones again.
Right.
Does that have the sound effects from Indiana Jones?
It does.
The punching sound effects?
The sound effects when you punch are so satisfying. The pistol sound effects are incredible. Actually, all the gun sound effects are
good.
Terrific. They're all very, very good. Like I said,
do you play with controller or mouse and keyboard?
Controller.
Okay, because a lot of people talked about how haptic feedback is really good in the game.
Well, there's that, and also the other reason that I would say controller is really nice is just that this has so far not been a game where I've had to use a gun that much, right?
Like really aim.
Yeah. I had so far. Maybe the game will change at the end, but so far it hasn't been really necessary. Yeah. But the thing I'll say that kind of makes all of this fit together is just kind of all of the pieces working together with the story, because Indiana Jones has not had a good story in a long time, gentlemen. Okay.
Yeah. He's only had 2 good ones ever.
I like the first 3, but my thing is that the last 2 movies have been not well received. And this
fun fact: the story of Kingdom and the Crystal Skull was pulled from a video game called. It ended up being the Infernal Machine.
Right.
It's why the Infernal Machine is basically the same story, aliens and Soviets.
But my thing is that I think we needed kind of return to the historical intrigue of, idea. And I don't know if the story is how the story is going to end, because I haven't beaten it yet. So it may completely ruin the foundations that's been laid. But so far, it's been an incredibly slow burn. They haven't revealed too much. They've kept the mystery alive. They're not revealing much at all, but then they keep doing things that just every time I start to think like, I'm getting a little more bored with this story, they will do something that is just really interesting. And I'm like, wow, this is Indiana Jones again.
Cool. I'm excited to play it.
Yeah. My single complaint is, why is this a video game? Why didn't you make a movie? Just let me watch this.
He literally described how interactive it is.
Why project where there's a book, a movie, and a game.
Like the story actually being good. I do get that. Like, why is it the story?
Why couldn't you do this with the last movie?
Why couldn't you do this with the last movie? Yeah. Well, and also, why are you making me play a video game that I like? I don't want to play a video game.
He doesn't know. It's new.
This is new game, and I don't want to play it.
Go play Indiana Jones.
I'm gonna go play it now.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Give it a shot. However, the price for it is absolutely exorbitant. I will say it is.
How much is it?
It's $70 for the base game, and then for the collectors, the deluxe edition, it's around 100, something like that. 90, I think, something like that.
Rachel,
and that's why they didn't make a movie.
I've not. Okay. So
Rachel,
I'm getting there.
Don't ask me what I paid for the Dragon Quest Collector's Edition.
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Don't tell her.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Her.
She's just viewed at $100.
So, what saving you now? What is your topic of the week?
Oh, mine. I get to go now.
Yeah, I'm done. Mine was just my review.
It was just Quentin's review.
That's fantastic.
I wasn't expecting it to be. I was expecting you all to have played this extremely popular and hit game.
No, he really
I don't know
thought
if you noticed, but that thing you said at the end about it being $70, that was the big barrier.
Actually, I have no excuse because
I ate a hot dog I found off the street today.
To survive.
I have Game Pass, so I'm going to go play it right now.
Actually,
see you guys.
I was about to say, you can play it anytime.
No. My topic of the week. Okay, guys, I want you to know I'm not a shill. Okay, I'm not a sellout.
Sure thing, she'll sell out.
Yeah, I was about to say, this guy is a shill.
Just because I noticed that Mario Kart content does really well on YouTube doesn't mean anything.
No.
So Mario Kart flash sale, Mario Kart buy now. No,
you're wearing a Donkey Kong shirt with a Donkey Kong thing on the wall behind.
There's Mario iconography
literally everywhere
where you sleep with your wife.
Why did we pick Star Fox as our
I don't
motif?
know.
No one knows what it is. We should have done Mario
we
Kart.
have integrity.
Literally, no one knows about Star Fox.
He like changes to Mario. Oh, I
Mario.
All the cards at the beginning.
The topics and stuff are all like somebody spinning out into the topic.
And now we're just shamelessly the
One
Mario
day
Brothers
we're gonna
podcast.
do that.
Mario Brothers podcast.
No, anyways, so Mario Kart for real, actually.
Sure.
You know, it's such a it's maybe Nintendo's biggest series, which is weird to think about, but like every time they have a mega successful console, Mario Kart's the top seller.
Yeah.
On the Wii U was the top seller. Now with the Switch, it's the top seller.
Yeah.
And what that got me thinking about is a different game.
It's
Other
not the
than
Sega
Mario
All Stars
Kart?
Racing one that I ranted about.
Crash Bash.
Why not
Crash Team Racing exists and you say Crash Bash? No, but I mean, kind of Crash Team Racing and stuff. Diddy Kong Racing is what, like, I really love Diddy Kong Racing. The other day, the reason I thought about it was because I'm like, why isn't it on NSO? Like Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, Rare's cool with it. It's been sort of in that purgatory where it had Rare characters and Nintendo characters, so it never came out.
Because they want to wait and release the DS version.
Oh God.
Could it be that they're waiting for this whole Diddy trial to blow over?
Oh my
Definitely.
You might be onto something
so
there.
that they don't
Rachel.
get negative press.
You might be right.
I noticed
may
they
actually
started
be right.
hyphenating Diddy Kong.
Yeah, they did actually a few
They
times
should have
hyphenate
gone.
Diddy
They
Kong.
should have called him his original name, which was Dinky Kong.
Dinky Kong. Might not be
It
any
would
better.
be less.
better
on the
It would
internet.
now. How is it the Dinky Kong, which was changed because of controversial nature,
like,
would
yeah.
be less controversial than Diddy Kong?
Here's the idea:
pretty
we change
crazy.
it back to Dinky Kong. We
Yeah.
don't care about the potential controversy of using a racial epithet in the name of this character, and then we also change Dixie back to Dicky Licky Kong.
Yeah, let's change it
Yeah,
back to that.
And there you go, and Rare is
Right.
restored to its
As
original
always,
power.
my topic has been completely overshadowed by Quentin's inappropriateness.
Listen, that's
No,
the original
so
name.
what I'm wondering about is like Diddy Kong Racing is so good.
Yeah.
And
It
it's
is.
such a good idea. But like it's actually kind of rare for you to rare. It's kind
Wizpig?
to it's kind of rare for somebody to take an idea that someone else has, use it, and then it actually takes off. Like look how many platform fighters everyone tried to sell that term.
Doesn't work.
It's just a Smash Bros clone, and they just don't work. Multiverses, Nickelodeon All Star,
Rivals of Ether works.
Yeah.
Rivals of
It's
Ether.
it's
That's
like a
actually
demake
a pretty good
of
example
of Smash Bros. Is why it
So
works.
that kind of works into it. Is that like why do those work? Why did Diddy Kong Racing work? Why did CTR work? But then like, you know,
It did.
CTR was huge.
I'm gonna say that
and
like,
beloved.
it did. I think one of the things that makes Rivals of Ether work and that made like Diddy Kong Racing work is scale. Like I think that one of the problems with like the platform fighters you mentioned is they're always like aiming for Smash Bros. And then Rivals of Ether is like, hey, we're gonna be half the price of Smash Bros. On everything. It's not as good in a lot of ways, but we're a different game. We're like much smaller. And Diddy Kong Racing doesn't have the roster of Mario Kart. It's not aiming to be like the same scale as a Mario Kart, but it's doing some different things, some
Adventure
creative
mode,
things,
different types of carts,
and it definitely doesn't have the budget of a Mario Kart, and they made it kind of to scale. Whereas like Multiverses, I think I saw some reports of like Warner Brothers losing $1 billion from marketing and licensing and everything on
really
Multiverse so far. That's utterly absurd.
That is horrible. Well, here's my thing: is that if you say, like, okay, we've got Mario Kart, right?
Right.
And people like that.
Yep.
There's Crash Team Racing and people like that.
Yep.
And there's Diddy Kong Racing and people like that. But you know who you left out? Every modern Sonic racing game.
Yeah.
Wait,
people don't like that. Well, why?
No, that's what's weird is that like I don't really care for it, but it's so I decided to look up the sales. So a great development team, they made the game Snake Pass. You remember Snake Pass?
Mm-hmm.
Sumo Digital. They made the original Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing. Then they made Transformed. Now they made Sonic Team Racing. I didn't know this. Those games sold millions.
No, don't get me wrong.
Popular.
No,
I mean, like, here's the thing.
I think
even Sonic Forces sells.
Yeah.
Millions.
No, you've got to understand. You don't get me wrong. If you have Sonic the Hedgehog branded, okay, on anything, then there will be 10 million perverts that will buy it. Okay, don't mistake 10 million perverts buying a Sonic product for people liking it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I see what you mean. It's not beloved.
How many people?
Revered.
Okay, I don't keep up with Mario or Nintendo. Okay,
right.
I put 200 hours into the previous Mario Kart game. We talked about that last time.
The current one, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, the current one. Yeah. Right. So Mario Kart just has mass appeal.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Everyone wants to play it. How many people bought that game?
I mean, 60 some odd million on the Switch.
How many dedicated Diddy Kong fans even are there? And yet that's a beloved game.
I know one.
Well,
but the point is though is that these Sonic games, they try to do Mario Kart and they don't do it as well, and they will never have as lasting a love as Mario Kart. They'll never have as lasting a love as Diddy Kong Racing that did something different. Than Crash Team Racing that did something different.
Yeah.
You have to stand out in a crowd if you're going to be remembered for a long time. These games may sell. I don't believe for a second that anyone in a year will have fond memories of them, except for, again, some perverts, and they'll be having those fond memories from jail. Okay? So I don't care.
What do you think, Ethan?
So I think that the reason that like Diddy Kong Racing and CTR did better is they're kind of the two perfect examples. Diddy Kong Racing, when you first play it and you're just stuck in the carts, you're like, nah, this isn't quite working. It's like, we're all driving around on carts on tracks, and you're like, it feels like something's missing. And then they're like, what if we gave you a boat to ride around? And you're like, so that was what was missing. Yeah, and then they're like, what if you have a plane? And suddenly, like, there's 3 different ways to play this game. That asymmetry is really fun. The actual, like, if you're all in carts, it's not that good.
Right.
And that's because it's not designed to be. It starts you off all in carts because it's just trying to show you how to play the game.
Sure.
It's like, this is familiar, here's a little less familiar, here's completely left field.
Yeah.
But when I first played it, was like, wait a minute. Planes and carts can be in the same race, and it's possible for a cart to still win and a plane to win.
And there's certain maps where one is going to have better shortcuts than another, and you have to play around in it to figure out what's best for different tracks. That
asymmetry is something Mario Kart doesn't have, and it makes Diddy Kong Racing
stand
really memorable and stand out.
Yeah.
Crash Team Racing had the advantage of the Crash IP is actually really creative and colorful, and they just leaned right into it. Yeah. They're like, we've got all these characters. We've got, at that point, they already had the 3rd game out. So it's like we have all these bosses that are very unique designs that we kind of scale down into drivers. And the power-ups are all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And they're
very fun.
Good, cool power-ups, and they just made a very straightforward racing game with it. Again, it's like you were saying, it's scale. They just were like, we're going to make a racing game, and it's thematic. You stick with Crash stuff the whole game. The reason I think that Sonic Team Racing, like Sega Team Racing, those games come along and they're popular like in the moment, and then no one misses them after they're gone. Like they're not They're not sticking
There's
around.
not a lot of clamor for a new. Now that they
new one comes out,
just
people
Sonic Team
people
Racing.
buy it. It's fun. You
They
know,
just
like,
announced a
enjoy
new
it.
one at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Well, but other than Sonic R, like the original Sonic Racing, is there one that is in the public consciousness so closely to something like Diddy Kong Racing?
Yeah, Sonic R is there because of the music.
I don't know.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Sonic R, if Sonic R did not have the music, it would not be as well.
No,
It wasn't a very good racing game because like the characters you unlock are just faster than the others.
Yeah.
They can just use shortcuts that the others can't. But Sega Team Racing, like in that giant, fiery rant I had about it, one of the things that was more sincere about that serious thought is it doesn't really have a clear direction. Like Sonic is in a car that he runs faster than, and it's kind of weird. And then like the items you pick up, they're not intuitive. They are esoteric. Like they're not from games as much. Like some of them are just random things, and they're from so many different games. The ones that are, that it's sometimes really hard to tell what you're looking at. Like if you see a Nitro case from Crash and then a TNT case, you know those from the game. They are both from Crash. You see a mask, you know that from Crash, right?
Yeah.
Red shell, blue shell, coin, mushroom.
Yeah, where's the boxing glove from?
Yeah.
Where is
That's
the boxing glove?
I think
where's the bubble from? It's like wait, monkey ball was the bubble that you get in the game, but it doesn't make you roll. It's a shield, which is not what it did in Monkey Ball. And so I feel like the ones that they don't fail monetarily, they fail creatively. They sell, and then no one like is like clamoring for a remake of them or chomping at the bit for the next one. The next one will sell, like you said.
Yeah,
Sonic.
I made the mistake of mentioning Sonic the Hedgehog, which derailed my point.
Your whole point.
But my point, I guess, to sum it up, is that like it's weird that Mario Kart. I think with Mario Kart they struck gold, and they were and like anybody can come along and do that, and it will do well. And I think it's strange that like other series have never done that. Smash Bros, you can't do that. Rivals of Aether is like a weird one-off. But like when people try to do a Smash Brothers, or when people try to like imitate even 3D platformers try to imitate Mario, it just doesn't work.
I don't know
you can do.
I don't know that you can do Smash Brothers without Sakurai.
That's a good point, actually.
It might Smash Bros might just be the genius of Sakurai.
Yeah,
and I don't think Mario Kart is. Mario Kart's a very simple idea. You just if you stick to the basics, you'll make a good racing car.
Well, again, I would just like to say again, you just have to stand out in a crowd because you can't just make Mario Kart and expect people to remember you because Mario Kart will do it better,
and they're gonna do it better.
Yeah. Now it's funny you should bring up Diddy Kong. Because my topic was also about Diddy Kong. And so like I wanted to talk about some of the controversy around Diddy Kong. Apparently he was throwing some parties.
Ty, what's your actual topic?
My actual topic is about help for the disabled.
Accessibility options in video games.
I'm going to talk about accessibility options in video games, but also there are a number of companies out there now that are making controllers for people who are disabled, who maybe don't have the use of both of their hands,
really cool.
who are vision impaired, and options for people like that. Because we as gamers, we're an inclusive lot, despite what the internet would have you believe. We want as many people as possible to share in our hobby and enjoy it. And sometimes the people who share in our hobbies and enjoy it, like they got their arm stuck in a wood chipper, and we want them to play.
Not an uncommon thing to happen to people.
No,
or
especially in some areas.
Guys, sign off in the comments. Have you ever gotten your arm stuck in a wood chipper?
Don't tell us that.
Actually, just
we don't need to know.
Hit subscribe if you're disabled.
Yeah. You thought my thing was going to be less controversial than the Diddy Kong
to be
thing.
fair, lots of people have machine accidents. They have paralysis.
Oh,
there are a million reasons why someone would need an accessibility controller.
The only good thing I have to say about
Microsoft,
Jeff Keeleaf
and
his video James awards,
James Carkeys,
is that they added a big emphasis a couple years ago on accessibility awarding companies. That
I didn't see it at the Game Awards this
year.
They got
missed it.
You missed it. Yeah,
you
literally just missed it.
What won the accessibility award?
It's literally
innovation and accessibility was. I don't remember. We have a producer that can look it up. Who won?
We do.
The first year they had it, The Last of Us 2 won.
Last of Us 2, God of War, Ragnarok,
and fantastic. They had some fantastic ones.
Could have been Astrobot.
The Last of Us 2.
What year am I looking for?
You're looking for this year. What were
innovations in accessibility? I think is the award.
The Last of Us 2 was crazy. It had it literally had like a million options for every kind of visual or auditory impairment that you might need help with.
It was the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
It does, that does.
I'd have to look up.
And so high contrast modes for people who are vision impaired. Sure. But I also wanted to talk about like specialized. I've seen a lot of these like specialized controllers coming out.
Yeah.
For people different things, and I've even seen some one-armed speedrunners. Or a speedrunner rather, who had like a cerebral palsy and couldn't move one arm, and did it with a one hand on like a specialized controller and everything. And so like I wanted to talk about if you've ever like a game or company that impressed you with like a specialized controller for disabled people, or a game that you feel like really like. We talk about how there's lots of games with great options, but what kind of pioneered this push toward accessibility, because it's been going on for a few years now?
Well, I would actually say Microsoft is the absolute best, because
think so.
Because they produce quite a few variations of their controllers that are for various people, that are modular for various peoples who have disabilities. So that's obviously really impressive. Microsoft, the one problem with, and this goes for all accessible controllers and things like that. This is not a problem for accessibility options, of course, because you buy the game and it's just in the game. It's not like you have to pay more for them.
Of course.
Accessibility controllers have the problem that all controllers do, which is that they are expensive beyond all reason.
There are a few organizations out there, and we're going to put them at the bottom of the screen because my memory is really bad, that help people get controllers and stuff when they are
programs
disabled.
and stuff.
But I will say,
I have to give a shout out, and I'm shouting out someone that I'm not sure who is, but I will be when I'm editing. It's either PDP or Powerade. They're really good about making like accessibility controllers for different people at a price where it's not insane.
And there are also 3D printing systems where you can do little rigs where you hook them up to regular controllers, and they make it to where that they have large buttons which can be pressed to press multiple buttons, or just increase the button size or increase the joystick size. Map the joystick to different things. Those kinds of things are terrific, and obviously people put those designs online for free, so as long as you have a 3D printer and 3D printer ink, you can make them. Those people are amazing. Those people are absolutely terrific. Like I every time I read any stories about like designs for those, some of them are so creative and innovative. You're just like, that the person who worked on that clearly put so much time into it, and they actually care. And like I was talking about with Amir Satvat, sometimes you just see people being nice and you're like, wow.
It's just refreshing.
It's really refreshing.
The first, I interned out of college doing graphic design, making some pamphlets for a non-for-profit that the thing they did was modify, one of the things they did was modify like computer mouses to like be a bigger button. So it was like easier, and like fix like the sensitivity on them and modify them. And one of the things they did also make was video game controllers as well.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be said that like we're for able-bodied people, and so like our own experiences and stuff are.
I love that. That's actually great.
Our producer just pulled up something that I'm going.
There was a Nintendo. Was that made by Nintendo? Yeah, so that's really impressive.
So the NES had an accessibility controller.
So it's been around much longer than I think people think.
It's just it's gotten a lot better.
A lot better, a lot more accessible.
Obviously, yeah.
But you were saying.
Yeah, so like as far as our experiences go, obviously we can't relate in terms of like our experience. But the thing that I'll say is like it does hit home the fact that like that occasionally as like consumers, as like the gaming audience, we can kind of tend to push back against accessibility. There's always like big discussions of like take out modes that are just for the story, or like there shouldn't be an easy mode. Like you should have to earn this. And ultimately we're saying like I don't want to devalue my experience, But it starts there, right? It starts with people who have a different preference from you, and so we add accessibility to them. But then there's people that don't have the choice. Like they're not able to engage with the game the same way that we can.
Like our uncle is a good example. He kind of introduced
video games,
us to video games, and he's vision impaired.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of games that he can't play because there's a lot of like fast movement or it's hard to see. But like high contrast options or some of the audio options that games have nowadays can like help people be able to enjoy those kind of things. He doesn't need any special equipment because he's able-bodied,
right?
But those are really useful and like helpful.
There's no argument for those people not being involved. If we can involve people who are not able-bodied or are vision impaired or impaired in any way, like there's no argument for not involving them. We should involve them. Whatever it takes.
Also, if you're an able-bodied person and then you're like, I don't want disabled people being around me or involved in anything that I can do.
It's kind of like going and protesting the Paralympics.
No, I'll tell you what it's exactly like. It's exactly like if I go to City Hall. And I find out that they're putting in wheelchair ramps in my area, and I go there and I say this money should be spent on me.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think that the development time on games going longer, when people complain about, oh man, these games are taking so long, or things like that. The things we should blame are not developer options, putting in options for
these things really don't take that long.
I don't think they really take that long to do. No.
That's not the issue.
Again, I think that if you're an able-bodied person, you would want even more, right, to support people who are not able-bodied to be able to enjoy the hobby. Now, I don't want anyone playing video games.
Right.
Of course. You want everybody.
I would love for everyone to go outside, right?
Yeah.
And not
touch grass
and be in nature. But video games are here, and for the time being, they're here to stay. And so anyone that wants to be able to participate in the hobby should be able to, and we should be able to create systems which anybody can use.
Yeah, obviously.
The kind of thing that opened my eyes to it was when we got our GameCube, we had to buy like a lot of off-brand controllers.
Yeah, right.
And one of them, if I'm
that's
because
we had the disability of being poor.
That was the worst.
Yeah. We still have that disability.
Being from Kentucky, my least favorite disability of all. We bought a Mad Catz controller.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, when I got it, I thought that it was just had like auto features on it where you could like hold the button and it would mash the button for you. But it had little flips on the base of the controller too that at first I didn't understand. You'd flip the right one and then suddenly like you push the stick all the way forward and your character would just walk. And I was like, that's stupid. You have a button that makes it where you can't run anymore and the controller doesn't work. And it was for people who can't half push up the control stick. They can only push it up all the way, right? They just like don't have the motor functions,
so you
right?
flick that back and forth.
So if you need to walk at a part of a video game, you just flick this little switch. And then when I realized that, my like third eye opened and I was like, oh my God, other human beings are experiencing life differently than I am.
Yeah,
right.
And so I started to we bought more of their controllers, and it was kind of the same thing, is that like there were lots of accessibility features that they would just work into their otherwise normal controllers built the same way as a GameCube controller. They would work these functions in for accessibility. So that was neat that they didn't make a different controller. They just modified theirs in different degrees.
My question, and I need to do more research on this, which of the major companies has accessibility controllers presently that they are manufacturing themselves?
There's not a lot of first party, but there's a lot.
Because I know that Xbox has like their controller has been made compatible with like several others. I've seen people use it on NintendoSwitch. So
I think specifically they try to partner with other companies,
because that's what I was about to ask.
Bring other people
and maybe like I said, I have to research this. Maybe they're like Sony has their own accessibility controllers. I don't know. I don't think Nintendo does.
Nintendo partnered with
PDP, I think.
To create
one. We're gonna put in the description some links to some resources for people who are differently abled and want to be able to enjoy video games, because I think that's something important every once in a while to stop and highlight.
Some people might not know these controllers even exist.
A lot of people don't. I didn't for many years.
Think about that.
I thought about like, what if I lost a hand? would I never be able to play video games again? And then it's
being
like,
able to see a speedrunner play a video
yeah,
game.
no, you can
incredible.
still do it, and you can still have fun.
You can still do it and also be
good,
very good.
Yeah.
Thanks for introducing hope to the podcast. After Quentin said there was no hope.
Yeah,
there is no hope.
That's
Ty brought hope.
For,
I think that
there's
might
no
be
hope for
the
video games.
That might be the
for other
single best topic of the week.
That was the single best topic
That was
of the week.
fantastic.
That was a lovely topic.
Way to kick off 2025.
Yeah, man.
2025.
It's the year of hope.
It's the year of the course correct.
It's the year of the course correct.
We finally get our act together.
This podcast is going to be good for a change.
Unionize and send me to communist China.
Just in time for the country
to make controllers for the disabled.
I will manufacture them myself.
Guys, please send Quentin to communist
Yeah,
China.
please. For the love of God.
G, call me.
Call him.
Call him
friend of the pod.
Call him out.
Friend Xi Jinping, friend of the
Friend
pod.
We'd
Guys,
love to have you on, G.
We've played a lot of video games, but there are video games we haven't played. And guess what? We got strong opinions about them.
Oh.
Guys, welcome to Video Games I Haven't Played, but I have strong opinions about. This is a game where you say a game you haven't played, you say your strong opinion, and nobody can say anything to you about it. That's just the way it is.
Them's the rules.
No questions, no nothing. I mean, there is some things. Ty, go.
All right. I have never played Epic Mickey 2.
Ooh.
Okay.
But I assume it's not as epic.
What a
But I think it's just as
feeling.
Mickey.
Oh. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm going to say
no questions.
Well, the problem is that I had two that I was thinking of. See, I've been writing down games. I had two that I was thinking of. One was Indiana Jones and which is the
Infernal Machine?
The Infernal Machine. What was that? That was a PlayStation game.
Is it
right?
N64 game?
N64 game, yep.
Okay.
PC game and then became N64 game.
I was thinking about that, and my first thought of that is that game is undoubtedly better than Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a game which I have been immensely enjoying, and in fact am desperate to get out of this house so that I can go back and play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Right.
The other thing is that I think that Max Payne is a game that I would like, and I feel very strongly that I would like it.
Okay.
But
you've not played it.
Not only have I not played it, I've had every opportunity, and I just I've gone out of my way. I've been like, man, that game looks like something I would enjoy. I'm gonna play Deus Ex again. And then I never do. But that's it.
Guys,
Ethan?
Ethan. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you just forget about Ethan as always on this podcast. Wait, start talking so I can
just
interrupt you.
Go, but yeah.
Go ahead, start talking.
Say something quick.
Yeah.
Sing for us.
That's accurate.
Okay.
Poor Ethan.
Game.
I've never played the BioShock games.
Oh.
Okay.
But I do have kind of a strong opinion, and I know literally nothing about the story other than a lot of people who like the same kind of like intellectually stimulating games seem to say oh, you'll like BioShock, and I have this strong opinion that I wouldn't. I have this strong opinion that I'd be like, this is a poser of an intellectual game, even though it probably isn't, but like I have a very strong opinion of just like an irrationally strong opinion because I've never played it. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I'm like, faker. You're not the real,
You're not a real one. Yeah.
Devin, what's a game that you haven't played that you got a strong opinion about?
Guys, I haven't played anything from the Shantae series.
Shantae? Okay.
Yeah. But here's the thing, is that I've seen it, and I think we all know why people like it. The only reason people like it.
Excellent platform.
Woke DEI.
No, you're all
Hideo
wrong.
Kojima.
You're all wrong. Like, just look at Shantae, the character, and every character.
She's a 10.
Oh, Jasmine from Aladdin.
Obviously, people like
Similar.
it because people are just obsessed with genies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just a common obsession.
Because we all live miserable lives and we want our wishes granted.
Yeah, people love genies.
Yeah. Right.
And she's only half a genie.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
so they should only half like the game. I don't get the appeal. I don't like genies. Michael B., what's the game that you've never played but you have a strong...
Shantae and any of the genies.
Are you just commenting on mine, or are you saying a game that you haven't played?
He's saying he's never played it, and he has a strong feeling about it.
I'm going to say World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Never played it. I think it has a really great art style.
Really?
I think it has a really good art style.
All right.
I remember
Rachel.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Oh.
I really strongly want to play it.
Thanks.
Now that I know we have Game Pass and I can play it for free.
You literally can play it right now, and it's great.
Somehow Quentin's a better salesman than me, and he hates all video games.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's the yin and yang of this couch.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really
Loves video games, can't sell them to you.
Yeah.
Hates video games, maybe the best salesman on the whole pod.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome to Power Up Brothers Podcast 2025.
Yep.
It's the new year.
The last year.
The final year of the video game
final
podcast.
year.
No, just the last year.
Just the
Oh, well, that too.
of all time.
There is-
calendar ends after
There is
this.
no
Yeah.
hope.
Guys, if you're still here, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for staying here till the end.
Course correct by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't.
Yeah, if it's
In the year of the course correct.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In the year of the course
Incredible.
correct.
What should we have them put in the comments if
Yep.
they made it to the end of the video?
Put a little game controller emoji in
Bashante.
it. Put a little game controller in the comments to represent the fact that accessibility
be able to
controllers
play.
are
That's how we want
Are
to
on
kick
the
off
right.
the year.
Oh,
And
yeah.
put that in there and make sure to have clicked on one of those links.
Yes,
Any one of
check out
them.
those links.
Give if you can. Buy a controller from them, even if you just think it's a cool looking controller.
And if you know somebody that would be would benefit from having one of those controllers and doesn't even know they exist, please let them know, because
Christmas isn't the only time you can get people gifts.
that is true. That's
You
true.
can do it because you want to.
You could also just do it because you want to.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for
everyone.
watching.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.